we've still got people joining this session. We have over 110 people at the moment, which is really lovely to see. And you know, many of you, it's lovely to see so many familiar names. Many of you know me through my corporate work. Some of you know, I've just seen Ross, who's here from my old running club, the Wimbledon Windmilers from 20 odd years ago. People who I've worked with, people who live in my neighborhood as well. So there's a real mixed group of you. And there are people from abroad, people from Dubai, people from around the world also attending this session. So I feel immensely privileged to be able to share with you for the next hour or so. Now, before I get going, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. Some of you may not have experienced my work before, so I'm going to tell you a bit about my background. But before I do that, can I just ask you how you're all feeling at the moment? Just one word. And Lisa, as Lisa said, this is an interactive session. You can use the chat function. A lot of you are already using the chat function. And hello, Anna Maria from Portugal as well. You know, how are you feeling right now? One word. Thank you, Josie. Some of you are great. Hi, Stephen. Alicia, wow. Concerned, sad, fine. Yeah, hello, Tracy. Love to you. Okay, so we've got such a mixed thing, scattered, juggling, anxious, homeschooling, resilient, a bit fed up this week, grateful, lost, roller coaster, completely. Stay tuned, we're going to be, the next session is going to be about roller coaster. Hello, Dawn. Relax. So we've got a mixture of emotions, a mixture of feelings. And Hina, thank you so much for coming, Hina. Hina saying apprehensive. And at the moment, I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling very blessed to be here. I woke up though, feeling a little bit anxious and did a few things to look after myself. And now I'm feeling really excited and happy to be here with you. A little bit adrenalized, my fingertips are cold, you know. So we're all in this together. We're all going through this together. And we've never been through anything like this before. And I feel immensely privileged to be able to share with you the things that I have been learning in the last 20 odd years, as well as practicing myself. So let me just tell you a little bit about my background. And then we're going to get straight on with the session. And thank you for interacting with me. I can see things coming in on the Q&A and on the chat, which is brilliant. So for those of you who know me, you know I write books, I do a bit of TV and radio, I work across industries, I work in sport, Chelsea Football Club, spent 10 years working in psychiatry at a clinic where I was once a patient 20 odd years ago. I'm a mum, got my 15-year-old upstairs, hopefully, at school in her pajama bottoms. Some of you may know that I also once had huge problems sleeping myself. That was part of the reason why I ended up getting very, very ill in 1995 and ended up on a journey to heal myself. So my work is deeply personal, but it's also based on my 20 odd years of professional experience, based on my scientific background as a neurophysiologist. It's based on the fact that, you know, in my own quest to learn more so that I could help my clients, and in my own quest to heal my own traumas and illnesses, I studied Eastern practices, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine. So I integrate that with the Western science. So it's an integrated approach which comes from my heart. So why, as a sleep expert, talking about sleep? You know, I'm called a sleep expert, but I've been helping people to stay well and stay in balance, manage their stress levels and find internal safety for much longer than I've been a sleep expert. The sleep expert stuff started probably about 12 years ago, after I was headhunted to work at the Capio Nightingale Clinic, and I wrote my first book, Tired But Wired, and that kind of catapulted me into the limelight, and everyone started calling me a sleep expert. But long before that, I knew that there was something in the world that was changing everything so quickly and creating so much anxiety and uncertainty and pushing us against our limits of being able to cope, and stretching the limits of our physiology to the point that it was making us ill. And I started having these conversations with people 20 odd years ago. So I have been talking about uncertainty for a long time, and I'd love to share with you some of the things that I have been learning and practicing on myself, and some of the things which I am particularly noticing are relevant given what we're going through at the moment with lockdown and the pandemic and all of the fear and the isolation and the worry and the loneliness, and then the moments of joy and happiness, and then the crazy moments where we think, is it okay to feel joyful? And then the next minute we're crashing again and we can't sleep. And then we've got work piling in or no work. And it just brings up such a mixture of emotions and behaviors and choices. So let's gather it all up today and have a look at it. I've told you a bit about my background. If you want to know more, ask me, but I think that's enough for now. But let's have a look briefly at, everything changes, but how is it impacting on you? And I've asked you to send me one word to describe how you're feeling at the moment. And thank you for interacting with me on that. But I would love to give you an opportunity to check in on yourself today. And we're going to use a questionnaire, actually, and you can share the scores with the group if you like, or you can just use this for yourself. You don't have to send your answers into the chat function. But I'm going to share with you a questionnaire which is based on a very well-validated psychometric tool, quick and dirty questionnaire. How are you feeling now? We're weeks into this pandemic and into lockdown, weeks into isolation, not getting enough human contact, and everything being so weird and different. But how is it impacting on your health, your physiology, your being? Okay, so we're going to check in. And then really importantly, I'm going to share with you some tools. Now, I know that we have on today's call, we have some extremely enlightened human beings. We have leaders, we have managers who are working and supporting teams, people who've worked on themselves. We have coaches, mentors, healers. So please, please, I know that there's a wealth of knowledge and wisdom on this webinar. Maybe I can share something with you that will be different, or just something that reminds you of something that you need to do for yourself. I know that in these sessions, I always take away at least one or two things from myself personally. If you feel to share something that you're particularly using at the moment, please throw it into the chat function or the Q&A box, because let's learn from each other, right? Let's learn from each other. So, a toolkit, personal reality check, a toolkit. And then how do we take this stuff and make it a habit? Because we're going to go into whatever it's going to be, a new normal, our Prime Minister is calling it. I've been calling it that as well. We don't know what that's going to look like. Is it just possible that we can use this time to create new habits, new practices, to bed in new rituals and routines, so that when we go back out there again, we have a deeper sense of resilience and inner safety? And I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. We have habits that become non-negotiable. Habits that, they keep us steady and safe, because everything changes. That's a given. Right? Nothing stays the same. And I'm at the age where I've been through so many big, major life events, so many things where I've thought, I really hope this thing doesn't happen. And it happened. And everything changed. My world came crashing down, and then I pulled myself back up again. The only certainty is that things are going to change and that there's uncertainty. But how can we start to create an inner core of resilience, so that we live, for the most part, in the right part of our nervous system? And particularly when we go back out there into the world again. Now, what do I mean by this? Before I get into this, I'm going to share a questionnaire, model with you in a questionnaire. But let me just ask you, surviving or thriving? Where do you think you are in this? Are you surviving? Are you thriving? Where are you for the most part at the moment? You can see there's stuff coming in on the chat. can see stuff coming in on the Q&A. Surviving, just existing. Somewhere in the middle, mixture. Midway. Learning, I love that, Tracy. Close to the middle, Alicia. Nice. Surviving but enjoying time with family, which wouldn't normally happen. Yeah. Coping. Some people saying just about coping. Swinging between the two, Laura. Yeah, totally relate to that as well. Okay, so let's talk about, you know, the nervous system and what I mean by this. So there are two bits to the nervous system. So we have our nervous system, it's called the autonomic nervous system, that runs all our autonomic functions, automatic functions like heart rate and breathing and appetite as well, and body temperature. Very important, the autonomic nervous system, which is divided into two branches. One branch is called the sympathetic nervous system, survival, threat, fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol, anxiety, overwhelmed, frazzled, fight or flight, trauma, hoarding. Remember that at the beginning when we all went out and bought toilet paper like we were crazy, and flour and rice, and you couldn't get it for a while. Then it all settled. And that's one effect of living in survival mode, one symptom, one sign that we can't trust what's going to happen, and we feel this need to protect ourselves. So that's survival mode. Now thriving is the parasympathetic, rest, repair, recovery, resilience, safety, inner safety, digestion, immune function, which we so need at the moment, sexual function, sleep. So that's the thriving part of the nervous system. And what if we could learn tools, we could get into behaviors and habits while we're going through all of this. We could get into habits that makes us access or makes us able to live more in thriving mode than survival. Because I actually feel that part of the reason we've got into this pandemic is because for too long we were running in survival mode, which depleted the parasympathetic and the immune function. For too long, and this is why, as a sleep expert in a slightly parasitic way, I've got too busy. But what if we can start making new choices which enable us to thrive, at least for the most part, so that when we go out there and we walk around to the supermarket, even if that virus comes at you and sticks to you, your immune function is robust enough to fight it. So even if you get ill, your immune function is robust enough so you recover, and you recover well and efficiently, because that's why we are not extinct as a species. We're constantly surrounded by germs and viruses, but because we have the intelligence of our immune system, we don't immediately keel over. What if we could make choices that enable us to live in the right part of our nervous system? And are you doing that? And that's what this session is about. Because the minute we start responding to uncertainty from a place of survival, it starts to impact on our health, our ability to sleep, our ability to live well, love well, our immunity. So let's check in. Let's just spend a few minutes checking in and keeping an eye on the time here. Let me find out where you are at the moment. So there's a model, okay? I don't like dry scientific models. I'm just keeping an eye here on any questions coming in. So I don't really like boring models, but this model, I've been using it for over 25 years. It's a really useful way of checking in. And I would recommend that you come back to this and you score your questionnaire again. So, you know, we can send out, you will get a recording of this session anyway, and you can come back to this questionnaire and you can score it again. And if you want a hard copy of the questionnaire, email us and we'll send it to you. But I would recommend that while we're going through this, every week, score your questionnaire. Those of you who are working with teams of people, get your teams to score the questionnaire every week and check in with them every week just to see how they're coping. Okay, so pressure affects the way we feel. Let me make sure I'm in the right place here. Okay, pressure affects the way we feel. How does it affect the way we feel? If you don't have enough pressure, you're in hypostress. Some of you might be experiencing this. You might be furloughed. You might be thinking, oh my God, I get up in the morning, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I feel, tired, sluggish while anxious at the same time. My energy levels are in my shoes. I feel depressed, sluggish. I just want to eat. I just want to binge on Netflix. Is this ringing any bells? Because if so, this is the low energy part of the curve. Hypo stress. In physiology, hypo means too low. Pressure increases, eustress, from the word euphoria. This is, you're feeling good, you're feeling challenged, you're motivated, you wake up, you may feel a bit anxious, like I did this morning. You might feel a little bit, how's it going to go? Is the technology going to work? My computer melted down last week, 15 minutes before a webinar with 200 people waiting, but we managed to get it sorted out and worked out why that had happened. But, I was thinking this morning, is that going to happen again? Is it going to happen again? So eustress is the optimum place on the curve. Hyperstress, overload, stretch and strain, distress, you're going to be sick, you're going to be off work. This is where I was back in 1995. Now, what I want to do is to help you to work out where you are on this curve. A lot of people are also experiencing dissociation, numbing out, particularly at the end of the day. Netflix and numb out. It used to be Netflix and chill. Netflix and numb out, or I don't know, gin and tonic and numb out. Ben and Jerry's and numb out. Don't want to feel. Don't know how I'm feeling at the moment, but don't want to go there. Is this ringing any bells? So where are we in this at the moment? Where are you? And I really want you to have an opportunity to find out. So here's how we're going to roll now. I've got a questionnaire to share with you, which is 22 questions. The first page is 11 questions. So you need to go through these questions as quickly as you can, if you don't mind. Add your scores up. And when you have one final score, send a smiley face into the chat box or the Q&A, and then I'll know that we can move to the next page. But you need to get to those 11 questions, end of it, add them all up and have one number. And then we're going to go to the other page with 11 questions. Okay, so over to you. Any confusion about this? Because I know we have an international audience and sometimes people don't know what things like fidget means, agite. So if there are any questions you're not sure about, ask me. Send me your smiley face when you're ready to go to the next page, please. Got lots of smiley faces coming in. Shona, hello. Wow, lovely to see you. Hello, Mel. Ellie. Lots of smiley faces coming in. Thank you, Shona. Right, okay, so let's give this another 30 seconds while I have a sip of my drink. Okay, thank you for being so speedy about this, everyone. Let's go to the next question, the next set of questions. So add these ones up again and get your final score. Then you're going to add it to the previous score. can see some smiley faces coming in. Lovely. Okay. Got some high scores. Now, this next piece, which is important, is that you add your scores up, those 2 scores from the first 11 questions to the second 11 questions. Add your scores up and subtract 22. The subtracting 22 is really important. Please, please, please do this. Otherwise, you'll get into a panic when I tell you what the scores mean. And now, if you feel like you want to share the score, you've added up the first page, the second page, if you want to send your score into the chat box, let me know what kind of scores we're getting. Feeling blessed. We've got some lovely low scores. We've got some high scores. Some of you missed the beginning of the session. Don't worry, you're going to get the recording. Don't you worry about it. Got some high scores. Yeah. Okay. Some of you are really surprised with your low scores as well. Let's have a little chat about this. Hyperstress. A lot of hyper stress scores. Too high. Stretched, strain. Let me see what's happening on the Q&A. What have we got coming in here? We've got some imbalance, and we've got some high scores again. Lots of hyper stress. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do with this now that we know? Okay. So 0 to 35 is the optimum zone. 35 to 45, you're getting out of balance. Stretch, strain, stretch and strain. You might be getting, I'm calling them lockdown symptoms. Lockdown symptoms are whatever it is that is your body's particular way of manifesting stress, that's going to pop up. So, for example, mine is psoriasis, and ironically, sleep problems, given that, I'm a sleep expert. So I started getting psoriasis around my hip, around my hips, and my sleep. The sleep over the last couple of weeks has been really odd, and I'm working on it, and it's getting better. But those were my lockdown symptoms. What about the rest of you? So 35 to 45, stretch and strain. Some of you had higher than 45 as well. Now, if your scores, I would recommend that everyone, please, please, please score your questionnaires again next week. Keep tracking them. So my score at the moment is around 25, so it's low. It's within the normal bracket. But normally it's around 16 or 17. So I know that particularly at the moment, I really need to keep practicing my own techniques and looking after myself. And people are saying, tiredness, sleep problems, overeating. Yeah, I had one too many bowls of, caramel ice cream, salted caramel ice cream last night, and that, that's a symptom as well. Some people are going to be eating more. Some people are going to be eating less. I'm noticing an interesting symptom at the moment with over-exercising. Some people are exercising too much to numb out, to spend time, to go into that dissociated fantasy zone where they don't want to think about it, but then the symptoms pop up, and they pop up in some other way, maybe in their sleep, or just waking up with anxiety in the morning. So they're squashing it down with intense exercise, but then it shows up. It's going to show up, So please, please score your questionnaires again in a week's time. Now, if you're surprised with your low score, let me just tell you what that means. Let me just pick up a couple of the quick questions here. If I'd done this 2 weeks ago, it would have been so different, which helps me to reflect on what's different now from then. And it makes sense that it's different. Absolutely. At the beginning of this, I went into overwhelm. I was frazzled. And now for me, it's really settling out. I was so busy. And I still am, but it's settling out, starting to settle out. And I'm getting used to it. Okay. So scores of 0 to 35, and you're surprised. What's that all about? Stress and pressure are not the same thing. Stress is a state of imbalance that's created when pressure exceeds your ability to cope, okay? So we've got two things, they're perfectly in balance. If these two things are perfectly in balance, you're not going to be stressed. You'll have a eustress score between 0 and 35. If the pressure exceeds your ability to cope, it's going to tip the scales and you're going to get a high score. So those of you who've got 0 to 35 scores, it may well be that you're more in balance than you think you are. You've got more resilience. You're doing something right. And what you want to be asking yourself is, what am I doing right? What am I doing right? Now, even though my score is within the normal limits, I still want to be keeping an eye on it. I want to make sure that it doesn't get higher. So I've been thinking a lot in the last 10 days about support. How am I supporting myself at the moment? We'll come to that when we look at the toolkit. What do I need to do to keep myself within balance? You know, so I can heal my sleep. I can make sure that, you know, this psoriasis goes. What I need to do to look after myself, to keep my score, actually, ideally, to help it to go back to that 16 to 17. That's the normal. And that is what thriving is about. It's about, when all of this is going on, still managing to maintain a state of internal resilience and strength, despite all of this. And this is what we're being called to do. This is what we're being invited to do. I truly believe, and I don't mean this in some, you know, spiritual bypassing, esoteric, woo-woo way. I truly believe that one aspect of what is happening in our world at the moment, given that, you know, there's so many of us on this call at the moment, you know, almost 140 of you on this call, all around the world, but we're all experiencing the same thing, and we're being invited to meet ourselves on a deeper level, deeper than we've ever done before. Even those of us who've been working on ourselves. I've been working on myself consciously since 1998. Consciously working on myself, but I have never worked on myself more deeply than I am at the moment. And so what does this mean? It means meeting ourselves in a different way. What does that mean? Building inner safety, building an inner core of strength and resilience. You know, I did a plank this morning. I said to Hina, I'm going off to do a 3-minute plank. So I've been doing 3-minute planks. I'm building up to, I want by the end of lockdown to be being able to hold a plank for 5 minutes. And I'm not 3 minutes. I have to say, don't do it after you've had breakfast. That was a bad move this morning. But anyway, I did it. Why am I talking about planks? While I was doing my plank, I was thinking, come on, breathe, Narina. Strengthen your core, draw your resources in, keep your back strong. And actually, it's a metaphor for what I'm talking about here. So when we first went into lockdown, I thought this is going to be a time for me to paint and basket weave and bake more and write my 4th book. And then it got really busy and I went into a bit of overwhelm. And then I started worrying about my mother in South America and my daughter who's just diagnosed with glandular fever, so she's high risk, all this kind of stuff. So I started getting really overwhelmed and loving the work I'm doing, loving being able to help people. I'm very blessed to have the work, but overwhelmed nonetheless. I was responding like this. It was all coming at me, all outside in. And then my lovely friend, Mel, who's on this call, who's an amazing support for me. Some of my supports are actually on this call, actually. But she reminded me, she said to me, Narina, before you go out and do your work, take a few seconds to take a deep breath and then move out from that point and then decide what you need to do. Take a few seconds to draw in before you move out. And actually, I have been doing that. So what we have here is the difference between an outside-in approach. It's all happening to me. I have no control. In psychological terms, you would say locus of control is externalized. When everything out there is perfect, then I'm going to feel okay. Wow. That's not a good way to deal with uncertainty, because it's crazy. Everything out there is so imperfect. It's never going to be perfect. It never has been. And if we go through life wanting all of that to be perfect in order to feel safe in ourselves, it's a lose-lose situation. You know, and I've been learning this consciously since 1998, but never has it become more relevant than it is right now, where I've had to strengthen my resolve and find the inner safety so that it doesn't matter what's going on out there, inside of me, I'm strong. I can deal with whatever life is going to throw at me today. And I have my wobbly moments, trust me. And some of you who know me, you know that I have my wobbly moments. But how do we keep strengthening our resolve, creating inner safety, so that we can thrive while all of this out there is in a state of survival, but inside we're thriving. So here I want to share with you some of my some of the things I've been learning over the years by working with so many people and practicing them on myself and sharing them with my clients and the people who I've had the privilege to work with over the years. And I'm just checking that no one's asking me a very important question. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So here is my toolkit. And I'm keeping an eye on the time. Okay. Some of this, many of you will know, but I'm reminding you. Number one, what should be non-negotiable at the moment is the physical things. You know, what physical supports are we putting in place to look after ourselves? You know, what are we eating for breakfast? How much caffeine are we drinking? You know, I'm on my 1 or 2 cups of tea a day, and sometimes I'm listening and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm a little bit off-center today. I'm not going to have that second Darjeeling in the afternoon. Or I get to the end of the day and I think, I really want gin and tonic now. I really need a gin and tonic. And I listen to that. And I don't always do it, by the way. So I'm not setting myself up as perfection. I'm far from perfect. But there are times when I say to myself, I want that gin and tonic so badly. And I'm not an alcoholic, by the way. I don't drink very much. But every now and then, at the moment during the lockdown, I'm thinking, I really want that gin and tonic. I really need that gin and tonic. And then I switch the television off and I just listen. What is that need about? What is it that I don't want to meet in myself? What am I trying to sedate? What am I trying to numb out? And there are times when I go, do you know what? F it. I'm going to have that gin and tonic. And I do go and have the gin and tonic. And then there are times when, like last night, for example, I didn't have the gin and tonic. And I thought, what is it that I am meeting in myself right now? Okay, what is it that I'm meeting right now? And can I sit with it? And last night, actually, it was loneliness. It was loneliness. You know, so I put Netflix on and I put the thing with Afterlife, and got a bit more lonely. And then I thought, I think I'm going to, I have that gin and tonic. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed. And I'm going to write my gratitude journal. I'm just going to breathe and I'm going to think about the loneliness and where that's coming from. And actually, it was a deep longing to give my mum a hug, you know. And I don't always do this, don't always get it right. But just pay attention to the physical things that we're doing and whether they're supporting us. Is the exercise supporting? So look at all the programs, the Joe Hicks, the exercise. There's so much free resources out there at the moment. But how can we look after ourselves physically? And I normally do a lot of exercise, but I've had moments yesterday, I just didn't want to go out and go for my walk. Didn't do it. And probably could have done with doing it, but just didn't do it. And so what do we need to put in place to look after ourselves at the moment? How do we eat? How do we drink? How do we breathe? Can we investigate breathwork classes? I'm doing some amazing breathwork classes. If you want to know about them, drop me a line. I'll give my contact details and I'll send you some resources. Fantastic breathwork classes. Did an amazing Pilates class yesterday as well at 7 o'clock. Amazing. And it's supporting my back, because I'm spending too much time sitting and in front of screens at the moment, hyperextending my neck, which affects my breathing, which can affect my sleep. So, you know, I put that in my diary, you know, once a week to check in on this Pilates class, which I actually find a bit boring, but it's supporting me. So physical things that we do to look after ourselves. You know, what are we doing to protect the quality of our sleep? Can we get the phones out of the bedroom? This isn't a session that's dedicated to sleep, by the way, and I've done a session on sleep, and there will be more, and there's lots of free resources. You just Google my name, go onto my YouTube channel, just Google my name. There's loads there. Go onto the Silent Night website stuff. There's loads of stuff on sleep that you can access, and advice that I'm putting out there, which is free, even without you having to buy my books. So just a few things on sleep, by the way, because we really need our good sleep. This, out of the bedroom. Stop looking at the time during the night. Follow me on Instagram. I'm doing tips, loads and loads of tips. I can just see the Q&A flashing. People are saying, yes, please, to the breath work. Yep, I will. Google this. Arthur Paulins. He's on Instagram, and he's doing amazing breathwork classes. Oops, there we go. Anyway, for some reason that's not sending, but you know, I'll send you some resources. But Arthur Paulins is doing fantastic breathwork classes. Mel is saying resting in the day and nurturing a quality of being that feels settled and balanced. And then going forward, then to then proceed is really helping. Yes, taking time during the day to just stop and breathe. And there's something lovely that we can all do. Like if we try this right now, lots of you now on Instagram, fantastic. If we just stop right now, just right at this moment, feel our feet on the ground. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your bum on the chair. Feel the back of the chair. Feel your belly, feel your jaw, feel the space between your eyebrows. Feel your shoulders. How is it feeling? Do you feel safe or unsafe? What does safe feel like? Well, when I feel safe, I can feel my feet. I can feel my bum on the chair. I can feel my back. I can feel like my belly is soft, relaxed. It's not tight and holding in. I can feel my shoulders are down and back. I can feel my face is soft. I feel my jaw is relaxed. I can feel the space between my eyebrows is soft and relaxed. My eyes are open, receptive. I can breathe deeply into my belly. Those for me are my markers. I know I'm feeling safe. Now, this, by the way, is called self-regulation. And the more we can go through our day, taking little shots, little hits, little shot, tequila shot of self-regulation, the more we're able to reconnect with safety as we go about our day. The more we can reconnect with the parasympathetic, with thriving, the better we'll sleep, the less anxious we'll feel. And it's as simple as that. That little check-in, which took seconds. Stop, feel. Now, when I'm feeling unsafe, I can't feel my feet. I can't feel my bum. My stomach is clenched. My jaw is clenched. I feel vigilant. I can't breathe. So find your personal body markers, body senses, sense it, trust your body, trust. And you know, in the last 20 years, we've become so relentlessly mental because we've been doing too much of this, staring at screens, looking at these. We've been mental. And we've disconnected from our bodies, and we don't trust ourselves anymore. We don't trust our bodies anymore. And I think this is an opportunity. This time is an opportunity to gather ourselves back and to start trusting our body again, our bodies. Reconnect, self-regulate, notice. 1 breath meditation or 5 shots a day of self-regulation and feeling your butt, feeling your feet on the ground. So simple, but so powerful. this might be a huge support for you. So let's look at support. Who's supporting you at the moment? Who and what? Who and what is supporting you at the moment? Who and what is supporting you at the moment? Who's on your side? Who can you laugh with? Really laugh with? And you know, it's actually at the moment, it's really difficult to find people to really laugh with. My dog, yes. My cat is such a huge support for me. Such a big support for me. Friends online. My cat and I are really, really close. My kids, my daughter, you know, I thought I loved my daughter to the maximum that I could love a human being. I'm noticing that the love for my daughter is even deeper, is even stronger. We are hugging more. You know, I don't come from a very huggy background. So at the beginning of lockdown, people saying I miss hugs, I was thinking, oh my God, you know, I thought I was huggy, but actually I'm not really missing it. And then it got to the point where I noticed I was hugging it. And my daughter, we're hugging it out more with my daughter, and we're loving it. Big hugs here too. You know, work colleagues. So who can we laugh with? You know, pay attention to that and keep an eye on this space, because I'm going to be doing a joy webinar, a free joy webinar, joy and happiness webinar with my great friend Stephanie Davis, who runs an amazing thriving business called Laughology, and we're going to be doing a session together on the joy of laughter. So please join us on that one. You know, but what is on your side? Who can you cry with? Genuinely, who can you cry with? And if you don't have people that you can cry with, can you access some online help? Does your company have employee assistance support? Many of you will be in organizations where you do have employee assistance programs. Yeah, a lot of you are throwing into this, you know, your support strategies, your friends, but your companies might have a confidential helplines that you can tap into. Who can we laugh with? Who can we cry with? What about your journaling? You know, can you shout across the fence to your neighbor more than you ever have done? I'm talking to my neighbors more than I ever have done. You know, I'm laughing with some of my friends more than I ever have done. It might be your gardening, putting your hands in the soil. There's good science that shows that spending time in nature, hugging a tree. Now, if you can't get out into nature, you don't have access to nature, even closing your eyes and imagining nature can have an impact on the nervous system, and it can help you to self-regulate. Yeah, good to watch feel-good movies, Britain's Got Talent. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We need more of the stuff that helps us to, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I find it's not that funny on Netflix and catch up. There's a lot of thrillers and stuff, and we need more funny stuff. So control the inner control freak as well. You know, when we move into survival mode, one of the symptoms that can pop up is we start to become extremely controlling of our external environment. When we feel unsafe, we start to move into the dishwasher. Maya, did you stack the dishwasher? Did you put that thing in the dishwasher like that? Or, you know, can you hang the washing out in a different way, please? Or why is my floor so dirty? So we haven't got anyone coming in to clean. And, you know, and rather than doing your yoga, lying on the floor, stretching, you're looking at all the dust on the floor. Or you're becoming more controlling of the people around you, getting into more arguments about, you know, somebody not plumping up the pillows or throwing the towels on the floor. And yeah, sure, all of this stuff is really irritating. Teenagers, oh my goodness. Teenagers and bathrooms and toilets, let's not go there. But just be aware of where it's tipping you over the edge. Where it's tipping you over the edge. And pick your battles, especially those of us who are homeschooling, well, teenagers, but, you know, dealing with teenagers. And yes, Friday night dinner. Yeah, I watched that with a teenager, and we bond with that. But, you know, just be aware of where your inner control freak is doing this. And I've actually named some of my inner control freaks. I have about 4 of them. one of whom is called Miss Trunchbull, another one called Miss Iron Man, because I've done one of those. I've got one called Miss Whirling Dervish. I name them. You know, these are aspects of my personality. So give them a name. I tell you, it's a really good exercise. Give them a name and notice when they are inappropriately popping up. I've got one called Miss Broadcast News as well. I mean, it's like, geez. I don't mean this in a psychiatric, schizophrenic sense, by the way, but notice these aspects of ourselves that are trying to be in control and are stopping us having an inner locus of control, inner safety, because we're not feeling control of what's happening out there. So we start excessively trying to control our environment, our immediate environment. Number 4, I can't emphasize this one more. We need to start a joy club, a joy movement. We need to start a different contagion of joy, compassion, kindness. You know, one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning, especially when I don't feel like doing it, is that's why I don't like having this in my bedroom, because if I did, I would reach for this first thing. But what I do is, even before I open my eyes, especially when I don't feel like doing this, I take a deep breath and I smile, even when I don't, especially when I don't feel like doing it, that inner smile. Now, the inner smile actually produces coherence between the brain and the heart. So research from the Heart Math Institute shows that it slows down your heart rate and your breathing. It reboots from sympathetic to parasympathetic. So this isn't woo-woo. There's good research that shows that even if we smile internally, it changes heart-brain coherence. It changes your breathing. It changes the levels of oxytocin and serotonin. Then it will help you to make melatonin so you can sleep at night. So just doing that inner smile. And then I go over to my my curtains. I open the curtains and I say thank you for the day. Often I thank my bed. Often I thank my pillow. Even if I haven't had a great night's sleep, I'll say thank you, you know. But saying thank you, gratitude, which I know a lot of you practice, but really embodying it. Not just saying thank you, giving a gratitude journal and writing 10 things down really quickly, but really feel it in your body. This is an invitation to embody. Get out of the head, come back into the body, feel it. Relax your belly, relax your butt, feel your feet on the ground, soften, feel the gratitude, feel the compassion. You know, and I tried to do this one before I phoned my mum, because it's very difficult speaking to an 84-year-old with dementia who lives thousands of miles away, who's on a complaining rift. And I try to feel, don't always get it right, but I try to feel that compassion and kindness before I pick up the phone, so I don't move into impatience and just trying to get her off the phone. And it's not easy. I know that many of you will understand that. Laugh as much as you can. I've started, I'm going to say this. I have many of my corporate clients on this webinar. I'm going to say this. I've started doing 2 things which make me laugh so much, which are making me so happy. Do you want to know what they are? Would you like to know what they are? Tell me if you want to know. Do you want to know what's really making me laugh at the moment? Yep. A lot of people are saying, yep. Okay, I've started hula hooping, okay, and I've started twerking. I've been doing twerking workouts on YouTube. And I know some of you know this, and I know that he knows, the person who reminded me to get back into doing this. You know, the dance hall, because I come from the Caribbean. I absolutely love it. But also, there's a science behind it, because when we move, I'm not going to twerk, by the way, although I feel inclined to, but when we move this part of the body, when we move that part of the body, this is the hula hooping, by the way, it's not twerking, but when we move this part of the body, it activates the vagus nerve, not the Viva Las Vegas, the vagus, which is an important part of the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, it switches on that part of your nervous system. It brings you back into your body. Somebody's saying, I know there's a reason why my daughter was so happy. So Eleanor, your daughter twerks, or she you know, is this the famous figure of 8 program? Gosh, I don't know. I thought I was ahead of the game. I thought I was ahead of the wave here. But listen, lighten up, come back into the body, feel your feet on the ground. We're in lockdown, you know, we're not doing this in the boardroom. And who knows, maybe when we go back to the new normal, we will get over ourselves and we will get into ourselves. We will get into our body, and then we'll start relating in a different way with joy and compassion and kindness and being human beings instead of just human doings, and humor. So twerking and hula hooping, loving my weighted hula hoop, absolutely loving it. I know that we are coming to the end of the session. Okay. Number 5. Where are we going to go with this? Where are we going to go with this? Can we be curious? Can we cultivate more curiosity about the meaning of all of this? Can we say, rather than say, I hope, rather than holding on to a fixed notion of and survival notion, a fearful, anxious, worrying notion of what new normal is going to look like, can we be a little bit more curious, open, receptive? I wonder. I like that shift in mindset, by the way, from I hope, you know, I hope work continues to come in. I hope my hard drive doesn't melt down. I hope my client, where, you know, it did melt down, doesn't cancel all the work. I hope that in June I get to go and see my mum. I hope my mum doesn't catch the virus from the 4 nurses who work at the public hospital who are coming in to see her every day. I hope I get to see her. I hope my daughter doesn't get it. I hope I don't get it. I hope I don't lose all my friends before the end of this lockdown. I hope. Can we move from I hope to I wonder? I wonder where this is going to take us. I wonder how I'm going to come out of this. I wonder if I can go to Guyana in June. I wonder how my mom's going to do. I wonder how my daughter's going to do. I wonder how we're all going to do. I wonder what the world's going to look like. And it's subtle, but it's a shift which can help to get us out of that. You know, and it helps me to manage my inner control freak. And I wonder if that would be helpful for you. And I wonder if you can gather some meaning from all, you know, what has this invited you to do, this lockdown, this pandemic, this self-isolation? You know, I wonder what it's meant for you. The fact that we've had to meet ourselves in ways which maybe some of us have never done before. We've cried, we've felt so lonely. We've met the worst part of ourselves, the bingy, you know, bingy and whingy parts of ourselves. You know, we've met the parts of ourselves that haven't wanted to get out of bed in the morning. We've met the parts of ourselves that have woken up at 3 in the morning thinking, I'm supposed to be one of the leading sleep experts and I can't having well sleep. We've had to meet those parts of ourselves. What will it mean when we go into the new normal? What have we learned from it? What have we learned that we can take forward into our new world? And so that this will have been of some value, So before we stop, I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope there's been resonance. I hope it's reminded you to stop and to breathe. And just these little things. Somebody was asking about nutrition. We'll do a session on nutrition as well. I would just recommend, I can't cover that in detail today, but eat your breakfast, get your protein, don't live on caffeine, drink lots of water. I'm going to need to drink lots of water after this session. These sessions take a lot of fluid, I have to say. But you know, we want to come out of this more conscious human beings. Not just running an autopilot, relentlessly mental. We want to be better, more evolved, more conscious human beings. Is this an opportunity for us to expand consciousness? What can we do differently? What are we going to do differently as we move into our new normal? So, thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying on the call. I hope it's been helpful. We're going to post this. My lovely Lisa, who just works so hard at the technology, which I think has worked brilliantly today, I think. You know, we're going to post it on YouTube. We're going to put it on my website, which is under construction. We're revamping a bit. We're going to send you the replay. You can stay in touch, not in a stalky kind of horrible, scary way, but you know, you can stay in touch with me. You can write to us. You can send questions, which you know, there's so much has happened in this session. So many comments. I've been trying to keep on top. You know, that people have been posting some amazing comments and extra resources in this as well. So if I haven't found them all, if I've missed any of them, apologies, but the messages are coming in thick and fast. Bless you all and your families from my heart. Stay safe, stay well. If you get the virus, recover well. Believe in your body's wisdom. And I look forward to seeing you again. We're going to do another session, possibly next week. Watch this space. Watch this space. Loved working with you. And I look forward to seeing you again. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.